Hi everyone! This is part 2 of me redesigning and rewriting my old OCs from middle school. For a quick little backstory, when I was in middle school I made a universe with a whole bunch of OCs in it, but the story was pretty much non-existent and the characters themselves were very bland, so I, inspired by a few other YouTubers, decided to revisit them and give them a new life. If you haven't seen part 1, you should probably go and watch it, otherwise this video is not gonna make much sense to you. I'll wait. Okay, good. I redesigned 5 more characters. Some of them are more important to the story than others, but I hope you enjoy this. Let's get into it. The first character is Benjamin Jones, or Ben, Dan's twin brother. In the main story he's not alive, but I wanted to draw him as if he was. His original design was basically just an opposite of Dan. Dan is tall, athletic, keeps his hair short, and even his clothing style is more stereotypically masculine. And Ben is just Jimin from BTS but ginger. I really liked making opposite siblings, I guess. For the redesign, I tried making them more similar. Obviously not all twins are identical, but I wanted to make them look naturally similar, but different due to their self-expression. Dan is, like I said, a lot more masculine. He works out a lot, plays basketball, and doesn't put much thought into his clothing. Ben, on the other hand, is a little shorter, doesn't work out, keeps his hair longer, and his style is more androgynous and at times feminine. Ben is the older one, and so he was always the more responsible and careful one. When they were kids, Dan was always getting himself into trouble and looking for new adventures, and Ben was a lot more anxious and tried to keep his brother safe. Ben's passing really hit Dan. They were so close, almost connected. All the childish excitement Dan had was gone, just like that. He felt like he lost part of himself, along with Ben. He distanced himself from everybody, his family, his friends. Now, all the responsibility had to be on him. He started hiding his emotions, putting on this tough facade, but on the inside he was crumbling. I really liked an idea from this comment, so Dan also avoids looking in the mirror because it reminds him of Ben. I'm sorry. Ben also had a girlfriend, more on her later. That's it on the plot for now. Ben doesn't play a huge role in the main story, he's more of a plot device, I guess. I like the new design, but obviously it's not canon to the story, just kind of what he would look like if he survived. It's definitely a lot better than the Jimin. God damn! The next character is Carmen Morgan. Her original design is fine, nothing too crazy, and she was actually one of my more developed OCs, if you can even call it that. She had a partner named Wendy, more on her later. They later got married. She also had a little sister and owned a coffee shop. Yeah, that's the most my middle school brain could cook up. I immediately knew that I wanted to age her and Wendy up significantly. Originally, they were in their 20s, around the same age as my other characters. I guess I didn't know you can make characters of different age groups. Also, them getting married and Carmen owning a whole coffee shop at 20 just didn't work for me anymore. It's not impossible, but that's not what I want for these characters. Now, Carmen and Wendy are in their late 30s, early 40s. Exact age doesn't have that much of an impact. And they are teachers at the college all the main characters go to. Carmen specifically teaches dance class. Not like dancing, but the class Dan is in. Okay. She doesn't have too much of an impact on the story. She's kind of a parental figure that the students can go to for advice. Sam and Dan are mostly the ones going to Carmen with questions regarding their investigation. Not straight up, they definitely change some details here and there to avoid suspicion. Carmen is very laid back for the most part, but you can trust her with a secret or ask for a favor. And that's about all I have for Carmen for now. There's a few more things I want to mention, but it will come up in a bit. At first I wasn't very sure about the new design, but it has grown on me. I really wanted to keep the androgynous look she was supposed to have originally. I could use some practice in drawing older characters, but this will do for now. Next is Wendy Morgan, Carmen's wife. Unlike Carmen, Wendy didn't have much of a story to her. She was just kind of there, just a partner. I don't hate her original design. It's okay. I think it complements Carmen well, but I'm changing it quite a bit. Like I mentioned, she's a teacher. She teaches Bonnie's class and very quickly recognizes Bonnie's necklace. Ooh. Well, Bonnie's family are not the only witches that exist, and Wendy is one of them. Dun dun dun. Every witch family has their own piece of jewelry that they inherit and pass on generation to generation. It just needs to have the crystal. In Bonnie's family, it's a necklace, obviously. Not very discreet, which is why Dan clocks her immediately, but it does what it's supposed to. And for Wendy, it's the wedding rings that her and Carmen wear. Her ring is the one containing the magic, and Carmen's has a protection spell on it. I thought that would be very cute. As for how the magic works, I imagine that witches are born with some of it, and only women have it. Not every child has it. It's kind of like having brown eyes or blonde hair. Maybe they'll inherit it, maybe not. And only one child per family can have it. The magic can show itself early on sometimes, but usually it develops by 13. Then the witch is gifted the crystal. It absorbs most of the powers from the previous owner and gives it to the new one. And from there it's a lot easier to train and to learn different spells. The crystal gives more power and helps stabilize it, but it does take energy to do any spell, big or small. Obviously the amount of energy depends on how big the spell is. In the story, Wendy becomes kind of a mentor to Bonnie. In the story, Wendy becomes kind of a mentor to Bonnie. She's sure that the sickness going around has something more to it. She starts her own little investigation on the sidelines and also helps Bonnie learn more about her magic. Bonnie is actually not that good at it. She's never been very interested in learning more difficult spells and just doesn't enjoy using the magic. It takes a lot of her energy. But with what's happening, she kind of has to do it. Wendy teaches her a few useful spells, but advises her to stay away from the mysterious sickness. She believes it's too dangerous, especially for a young witch. Obviously Bonnie doesn't listen, but that's besides the point. Wendy is also the first adult that respects and understands that Bonnie doesn't want children. The world is scary and the magic can be more of a curse than a blessing, so both Wendy and Carmen are very hesitant about it. And that's about it for Wendy. I like the new design, I had fun drawing it, and I think her and Carmen complement each other well. Wendy definitely turned out more feminine than she was originally, but that's fine. I'm glad to make her more of a character. Next is Elsa Wheeler. Not that Elsa. Yeah, that Elsa. I've always been great at naming my characters. Originally, Elsa was just Ben's girlfriend, though I don't think I ever even drew them together. And her one character trait was that she was a writer, I think. The rewrite is heavily inspired by this comment. So, Elsa used to be super close with Dan, Ben, and Daisy. until the incident, and she's also a witch. But compared to Bonnie and even Wendy, she's on a completely different level. Her powers showed up very early on in her life, when she was a toddler. She always wanted to be good at her magic and studied it as soon as she knew how to read. For years she only read about it. The power she had naturally weren't quite enough to do any bigger spells, and when she was old enough to inherit the crystal, in this case it's embedded into earrings, she went straight to practicing. Levitation, teleportation, illusions, any spell that exists, Elsa did it. She would practice on objects, then move to animals. She was getting so good so fast that she became obsessed. Her parents, who fully supported her before, slowly became afraid of their daughter's skills. One spell Elsa had not tried yet was the love spell, and she couldn't try it out on a cup or an animal. She needed a human subject. Do you see where this is going? Elsa had feelings for Ben, and he obviously liked her too, so he seemed like the perfect candidate. In Elsa's mind, she would be helping, since they both like each other but lack the courage to confess. What's the harm in that? But, of course, it backfires. Love spells, or any spells put on another human, are very unstable, no matter how skilled you are. At first, everything was fine. They just look like a super affectionate couple that makes everyone around them sick. Young love, if you will. But quickly, Ben started acting off. He was becoming possessive, couldn't spend any time away from Elsa. Sometimes he would even get aggressive if Elsa declined to meet him. The love was practically suffocating Ben. He would get physically ill when away from Elsa. His family noticed it too. They tried to help however they could, but nothing worked. Elsa started regretting her decision and wanted to undo the spell, but she couldn't find anything. Spells like this are risky and have great consequences and should be avoided. But Elsa was so eager to try every spell out there that she didn't even think of that. On the day of the incident, she tried confronting Ben about their situation. If she can't undo the spell, maybe talking will help. Only Elsa and Ben know what truly happened there, but after that, no one saw Ben alive again. Does she have something to do with it? Was it an accident? Was it on purpose? Who knows? I'm definitely leaving it open to be cool and not because I don't know what to do here. Shortly after that, Elsa's family moved away, never called or visited again. Until now, Elsa is back in town and the first place she goes to is Ben's grave. While she's there, Dan arrives. He comes here whenever he's stressed or anxious. They immediately recognize each other. Elsa tries to keep the conversation light and casual, but Dan is clearly hurt. Elsa apologizes for moving away so suddenly. Dan interrupts and asks why didn't she ever call or visit Dan? But Elsa isn't sure herself. Was it shame or guilt? Or was she trying to avoid suspicion? Then Dan asks why she came back. According to Elsa, she's working on a novel, and this town gives her inspiration. They agree to stay in touch, but Dan leaves with a sour taste in his mouth, and shortly after this, the sickness began spreading. As a witch hunter, Dan knows about the crystals and how the witch's magic works, but he doesn't realize that Elsa is one of them. I mean, that's his childhood friend. Even though they have not met or spoken in a while, he still cares about her and thinks she's a good person. After all, Ben was her boyfriend. She could have moved away from grief. But Whether Elsa had anything to do with Ben's accident or not, she has definitely become a lot more greedy and power-hungry. Her magic has grown stronger, and she has learned a lot more serious and risky spells. Her desire to be the best never went away either, so who knows what she will do with that. Another little quirk I want to give her is that she only uses people's full names. Even with Dan and Ben, she exclusively calls them Daniel and Benjamin, and no matter how many times they told her to use the shortened names, she refused. And that's about it for now. Elsa is definitely the most important character from this video. I like the new design, though I might change her clothes later, we'll see. I wanted to keep her body type about the same as the original design, but for now I really like this and the process was really fun. And the last character is Natalie. I don't remember her last name and I couldn't find it, so I changed it to Perez. Natalie Perez. She was Samantha's girlfriend because I felt bad for Sam. I like her old design, though I remembered her having a lot more tattoos than she actually does. I looked at these old sketches and went, oh, it's just a few scribbles. So I wanted to really go in and give her a bunch of tattoos all over her body. I also changed her to be Latina because there's already a lot of white characters in here and I want more variety. Surprisingly, I don't draw tattoos very often, even though I love them and literally want to be a tattoo artist in the future. So this was a lot of fun. I gave her a super simple outfit to not overcomplicate the whole design and show off the tattoos. But let's talk about the story. Natalie is not going to be super important to the plot, but I still wanted her and Sam to date. I want my girl to be happy. Natalie is studying to be a tattoo artist. She's very passionate about it. Mostly self-taught, but still decided to take some courses. But she needs models for her portfolio, so she posts about it on social media. Sam sees it and thinks of applying. Her tattoo could use a touch-up. After thinking about it for a few days, she messages Natalie and they meet up for a session. It goes very well. Natalie is actually very good at tattooing, and they click instantly. They're just immediately super comfortable with each other. They had a great time, and the final tattoo looked lovely. Later, Sam goes for another session, and then musters up the courage to ask Natalie to hang out, outside of tattooing. They quickly became friends. It's like they've known each other for years before, and just as quickly they start developing feelings for each other. Hee. Obviously later they start dating. Does it affect the main plot? I don't know. Haven't thought about it. I just wanted for Sam to be happy. Personality-wise, Natalie is the chill, cool girl, basically. She seems intimidating at first, even mean, but once you actually talk to her, she's the nicest person you'll ever meet. She will stand up for her friends, support them, and help them with anything they need. And that's about it. Like I said, she's not super important to the plot, but I wanted to redesign her so bad. I love the new design so much. I did struggle with her body to the point that I just traced a photo, but all the tattoos were so fun to draw and color. I kept some of them from the original design. I could make out a skull on her tummy and a crow on her chest. That one is really cool actually. The rest were either referenced or made up on the spot, but I tried not to completely rip off other people's designs. This design might be my favorite from this video. And this is it. Hope you enjoyed the new additions to the story. I'm actually very grateful for the support Part 1 got. I'm not really a writer, so it means the world that you guys actually enjoy what I made. If you have any more ideas, feel free to leave them in the comments. I don't know if I will do any more parts of this. I have a lot more OCs from that same universe, but a lot of them are not gonna be great additions to the story, or maybe I could make them a whole separate thing, who knows? Either way, thank you so much for watching, I really appreciate it. Like, comment, subscribe, all that. Check out my other socials, they will be on the screen and in the description. Stay safe, and I'll see you in another video. Bye!